problem if you're not in a hurry to get there. This might be it right here. This is Peggy, right? Booper. Oh, Booper. This is Betty Booper. And she's giving me a little ride today, and I don't know, we're going to call the rest of the elephants. I think I hear Stampede coming. Hey, don't go away. There's a good show today for you on the Out of the Norm Show.
The Out of the Norm Show is brought to you through the generosity of our partners in progress. Northwest Arkansas Community College, the College at the Crossing, Bella Vista Center, Envy Salon, specializing in cuts and color in Fayetteville, A.G. Russell Knives in Rogers, the Bank of Gravette, caretakers of the Arkansas spirit, the Tuscan Trotter American Brasserie, just off the square in downtown Bentonville, Discount Smokes and Liquors at the state line in Jane, Missouri, Hoffman Realty in Bella Vista. It's the Out of the Norm Show. Stories about people, places, things, and events from all across the great country of America. The Out of the Norm Show, where the stories are all about you.
Hi, welcome to another version of the Out of the Norm Show, and you're not going to believe where we are. In fact, I thought I was in Africa there for a while. This is Scott Riddle, who is one of the founders of the Riddles Elephant and Wildlife Sanctuary.
Correct.
And we are located out here in Quitman, Arkansas.
Correct. Our address is Quitman.
Now, this is a very unique thing to find in the center of the state like this. We see a lot of sheep and goats and cows and pigs and horses, even some donkey farms, but boy, you're the only guy I ever known that had an elephant farm.
Yeah, we came here in 1989 specifically. We came and we did a lot of research. My wife is very good at that, and we found, because I had been through Arkansas on several occasions and really liked the state a lot, liked the people, and liked the fact that it was a very rural state and a lot of beautiful country, and the real estate was reasonable. Because what we wanted to do was going to take quite a bit of real estate, and I was raised in California. I'd have to be a multi-millionaire to buy this much property in California. We couldn't. So we came here, did a lot of research, traveled all over the state looking for places, and we found this place that actually was going into bankruptcy, had been abandoned. And we got it at a decent price. We had bought part of it and leased the rest of it with the option to buy, which we eventually did. And we came here for, like I said, several reasons. The fact that the winters here are not severe, and so the elephants get to go out almost every day, even during the winter. The people are extremely nice, and it's like when I grew up in a small town in this state. You know. People are friendly. Out here in the country, people don't mess with you or anything else. And the farm has always been well received by our neighbors and by the community and the people within the state. They have our brochures at most of the tourist stopping places when they come into the state. Peggy quit, and we do get a lot of visitors. We used to put on a school here. We did it for 10 years, and we had people come from all over the world to attend the schools. And Booper, come here in line. Come here in line. And it was a very, very good school. We taught a lot of people a lot about elephants. We do a lot of research here on elephants because a lot we still don't know. And I say as a community, not just us on an individual basis. And we do education, research, reproduction is extremely important in the elephant world now. And so we do a lot of that. We do a lot of conservation work in Asia. We have a repellent program that we've tested once in India. It works very well to keep elephants from raiding crops because
that's interesting.
The human-elephant conflict is the biggest issue with elephants right now. The fact that the elephants are running out of places to live in Africa and Asia, and so they start raiding crops, and of course the people don't want that to happen. They want to feed their families, so they wind up poisoning or shooting the elephants because they're in great competition for their food, and the people move in on their traditional feeding grounds for thousands of years and start planting crops, and they all say, well, that's convenient, we'll just go over and eat that.
So did you come from a biology background or zoology background?
No, I just come from an elephant background. As a child, I was born with, I think certain people are born with certain abilities. And I was one of those kids that was always bringing something home to, worry my mother. She was well known at the San Diego Zoo because she kept calling them up and describing what I just caught and brought home and would it hurt me. And that kind of went dormant through high school and what little college I went to. Then it all started again when I bought a parakeet. And make a long story short, I started working at a zoo in California. And there was a gentleman there that was training the elephants they had because they wanted to move them to their new zoo, and they didn't want to put them in a truck, so they were going to walk them over. And he was a very good trainer. His name is Jack Badal, and I knew he would need some help eventually. And I was young and very enthusiastic about it. And I asked him. I said, "When you need help, would you ask for me?" And he did. And I tell people when I got around my first elephant, I heard a click. And I knew that's where I belonged. And I've been with him ever since. That was 45 years ago.
Wow.
And but to get back on why we came to Arkansas, we needed enough property out in the country so we would not annoy our neighbors and it wouldn't build up around us and demand that we move. Come here, you guys. Hey, Booper, come here. Booper, come here. Peggy. Peggy, come around here. Come here. Nobody wants to see your rear end. Come here. Booper, come here. Come on. There's plenty of grass over here. The grass is always greener over there. But, and so like I said, we came here because the real estate was reasonable. The people were nice. Very few regulations on exotics in the state. Some of the states are like Florida and California are just ridiculous on their laws when it comes to animals. And so we decided, my wife and I, to come here when we found this place. And like I said, we came in 1989 and we incorporated as a nonprofit sanctuary in 1990. And no one had ever put the words elephant and sanctuary in the same sentence before us.
So the refuge that's in Tennessee is a newer refuge than you are then?
Yeah, they incorporated 4 or 5 years after we did.
Do you have cooperation between those sanctuaries around the country at all?
We cooperate with the elephant community in many different ways, with zoos and circuses. Circuses have been unfairly maligned by the animal rights radicals. Most of them are excellent. Most of them take very good care of their elephants. And I have a very simple philosophy. If you take good care of your elephants, I'm all for you. If you take bad care of them, I'm against you. I don't care if you're a zoo, a circus, or a private individual. That's my criteria.
Where does most of your stock come from?
These two are show elephants, ex-show elephants. They both came off circuses. She was Betty Booper, her name, we call her Booper. She's about 38 years old now. She came off of a circus in California. And this elephant, her name is Peggy. She's our older elephant. Oldest elephant. She's about 55 years old now. And she came off, she started out her career on the East Coast, but then she went on the Ringling Circus.
Wow.
Was on there for many, many years, but she became very aggressive. And so the guy that was in charge of the elephants gave her to one of my oldest friends and mentors. His name is Bill Woodcock. The nickname is Buckles. He's retired now. He's a fantastic elephant trainer. He kept her for about 8 or 9 years, but he had 4 elephants, and it was one too many for what he was doing. Come here. Peg, come here. Booper. Booper, come here. Peggy, come here.
Kind of like calling your house pets to come over.
Come
like
on.
Your puppies.
Come here. They weigh 8,000 pounds, but they think they can sneak away. Come here, Peggy. Move up. Booper, come here. Eat over here. Come on.
But Dad, this grass is nice over here.
Yeah, you're going to be on TV. Come on. So anyway, he wanted to retire her, so he called me up and wanted to know if he could bring her here, and I said, sure. No problem. Bring her. So she's been here ever since. This elephant came here because she was injured by another elephant.
Oh.
But she's gotten much better. But these two will be here for the rest of their lives.
Which could be another 20, 30 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And so the elephant community is relatively small, so everybody knows about us.
Right.
And so we would get phone calls. Booper, no, mind your manners.
How was when you decided to open the sanctuary here? How was the response to the local community, because it's so foreign to this part of the world?
It was good, not as supportive financially as we wanted, because it is an extremely unique idea. I mean, people, if you open a facility for abused kids or women or something like that, those are all great causes, and people but they're more apt to probably give to that. When you go on TV or you talk to a bunch of people and say, "Yeah, I want to save elephants, and we want to we have a sanctuary. Would you give us some money? Would you donate? Because we are a nonprofit." They say, give this nut $100 and get him out of here. So it's the animal rights people that use the abuse excuse get more money.
Right.
Because Americans are animal lovers, right, and they don't want to see anything abused or hurt. So even though they lie about the abuse, people give them money. It's like PETA. They put ads on TV of some poor dog chained up and dying of starvation, and that's what they use to get money from good people.
Sure.
But then their agenda is different. They're very, very radical, and they do some things that are very questionable. And they don't really put any money into animals. It's all for publicity and salaries and that type of thing.
Well, that's what bureaucracy is all about.
Right, and so when you go in with a real positive, message, people are less apt to give you any money, because you say, well, that's great, you're really doing a great job, but I would rather give my money to this poor starving dog over here.
Right.
So it's been difficult as far as that, but we ethically and morally could never use that fraudulent, abuse excuse. It's just.
Now these girls look all pretty healthy right now.
Oh yeah. This is a paradise for them.
But you find, as you said earlier, you found that most of the people who you get your stock from, they haven't been mistreated. They've just gotten older or gotten to be too much to handle.
We get elephants that have either injured or they can't manage them anymore, or they're having problems with them, that type of thing. And when we started, all of our friends said, well, you're going to get all the rejects. I said, sure, but all the rejects need a home too.
Yeah.
I said, this could be the last stop for a lot of elephants. Nobody else wants them, so let them come here. They deserve a home. They didn't buy a ticket to get here.
Right.
So once we take the responsibility of bringing them into captivity, we also take the responsibility of giving them a good life. And a famous elephant trainer that passed away some 7 or 8 years ago, and one of my oldest friends and mentors, his name was Robert Smokey Jones, a fantastic elephant trainer. He had a lot. I quote him a lot. He had a lot to say about elephants, and he says, Scott, he says, the only payday that elephants get is the kind of care you give them. So basically, all elephants now are captive elephants.
There wouldn't be any elephants if they weren't.
Yeah, and so we have to work on reproducing them and keeping them alive, because elephants die every day in Africa and every day in Asia from being shot or poisoned or poached or culled. If they get too many elephants in some of these parks and they were not allowed to sell them, they kill them. Even if they don't tell anybody about it, they go out and kill them.
And they turn into Tony Llamas and Nakona boots and.
Right. And the Endangered Species Act, the sale of any animal, including an elephant, Africans are protected, Asians are endangered. You have to get permission, like say if you are the president of an African country and you think your elephant areas are overpopulated and they're going to destroy the environment and they can't feed themselves, then you go to the CITES convention and ask for a permit to go out and cull a few hundred elephants.
A few hundred?
Yeah. And basically, in my opinion, what that is they let the problem go for a while, because elephants don't produce like mice.
Right.
It takes almost 2 years to have one, and they won't breed for 2 or 3 years after they have a baby. So they're not, turning them out like, Japanese tennis shoes.
How many births have you had here in Arkansas?
We've had 3.
3 so far.
The only elephants that are ever born in Arkansas have been here.
And those elephants, did they go off to other places, or did they live their life here, the new ones?
No, there's a few of them that we put in a couple of places so they could further breeding, and because we're very concerned with that. And we've had some, unfortunately. If you have enough of them, you're around this business long enough, you're going to see some deaths for one reason or another. we've had some elephants die.
Sure.
For different reasons. Elephants that were either injured or sick when they came here.
Right.
And they were killed somewhere else but died here.
Yeah.
And so you just take the best care you can of them, until they do pass away. And we bury them here.
What's the largest number of animals you've had on the sanctuary?
The largest amount of elephants at the same time has been 13.
13?
Yeah.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, that's a lot of work. I mean, we have 7 now, and a young lady you see sitting on a truck over there, an extremely strong, good worker, and they will keep, all day working very, very hard. They work 12, 14-hour days.
So it takes a lot of people and manpower and maintenance to keep this up then, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and do it right.
How many people do you have on staff?
We only have 3 people working with the elephants, which is not enough. We should have double that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a maintenance guy, and we rely a lot on interns. We have a month-long internship.
How does that work? Where do you get your interns?
Most of them are college students and young people that just want to learn more about elephants. We try to inform people and educate them to the fact that if you come an intern here, it's extremely hard work. So if you're older and broke up like I am, you ain't gonna make it, And but the people that do come here, we need them to work hard. We need them to, because we have to buy all of our hay, and these elephants, we use about 8,000 square bales of hay a year.
Wow.
Somebody has to put that in the barn.
Oh, yeah.
And you're not going to get an old cripple like me with a ruined back to do that.
Are you able to get donations of some of that hay?
No, most of it we have to buy. So we have gotten donations. There's a local doctor. He's retired. I don't know if he wants some publicity, but his name is Dr. Waller.
Mm-hmm.
And he's about 10, 15 miles from here, and he donates hay to us. He's a very nice man. But most of it we have to buy, And when people give you money, like all these barns were built through donations. But when people donate money like that, they want to see something for their money. They want to see the barn. Nobody wants to donate to pay wages or
Right.
pay the vet bill or buy the hay, that type of thing.
Right.
So that's always the hardest money for a small nonprofit to acquire.
Well, and that's part of our reason for bringing the story to you folks, is so that we'll be able to not only inform you and educate you and let you see a cool place in Arkansas, but a place you can participate in. That's important. I mean, we've got to be participators, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody has to get involved. If you want to save any kind of animal, first you have to research on who you're helping to
Right.
make sure they're good people and they're not frauds
Sure.
or liars or radicals, and you're not giving money to basically a terrorist group. And you want to make sure that the money's going to, like I said, a good place like that. And you go visit them, go see what they do, and where your money will go. And
on top of your internships that you offer, you give people that opportunity to visit here, don't you?
Yeah, we have a visitor's day the first Saturday of every month between 11 and 3 p.m., which will be this coming Saturday, and weather permitting. And we open the gates. We charge $5 a person to help, with
Sure.
the elephants. And people come in, they come down here, and they get, there'll be employees stationed down here to answer questions and tell them all about the elephants. We don't permit anybody to touch them or anything like that. We can't afford that insurance-wise
Sure.
and everything. And but they get to see the place, because a lot of people think this place probably is just somebody's backyard and there's some steel stakes in the ground. You just chains a couple of elephants out there.
But none of that was here when you came here.
No,
was
there was nothing here.
All the steel fencing and the big barns, everything all started from scratch.
Yeah.
Now, your title is Elephant and Wildlife Sanctuary. What other wildlife have you worked with?
In my career, I've worked a lot with a lot of different animals. I know something about a lot of animals, a little bit. When I first started out my career in the zoo, they had me work everywhere in the zoo: big cats, bears, birds, reptiles, everywhere. But like I said, when I got around elephants, I knew that's where I wanted to be.
Where your piece was?
Yeah, and that was my reason for being on the earth, was to take care of these guys.
So do you spend a lot of time alone with them, just coming out and hanging out?
Yeah, not as much as I used to, but you do spend a lot of time, But people don't realize, they might imagine in their minds an internship might mean they come in and get to pet the elephants and play with them. But the internship, and basically, and for an employee, Their reward is they learn about elephants and they become skilled around them. And if they want to make a career out of that, then they can feel proud about it. Because being able to do things with these animals properly is a dying art. It's an art form, really. And it's a dying art. So when you are taught properly, that's very rewarding right there. And if you can change their life and make it better, that's rewarding.
What would be a typical day? If I came out here on one of your weekends to do something, what do you do first? What's the day like?
These guys come out about 7 o'clock, somewhere around there. And they check the elephants, of course, make sure everybody's okay. And then they prepare their morning breakfast for the elephants.
Which would consist of?
Different types of grains with supplements, like granulated salt, vitamins if they need it, that type of thing. Then they start cleaning, and we'll give everybody breakfast and let them have their breakfast. And then you start washing the elephants, give them a drink of water, washing the elephants and getting their yards prepared so they can go out into the yard and spend the day out there, because we want them to be outside loose as much as possible.
Sure.
And then it's either what do you call it, recycling, or it's a vicious circle, because you put the food down, it goes through them, you pick it up, you put it on the field to grow grass, you pick it up, you put it back in them, and that type of thing. But you basically...
So you have some fertile fields around here, don't you?
I compare elephants a lot with children. If having elephants is like having 16-year-old problem children that never leave home. That's it in a nutshell. You have a tremendous amount of work, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, with very little monetary reward. You're not going to get rich in this business. But it's a reward that comes from your heart and your head. If you know you've done a good job at it and you're good at what you do, and you're respected by your colleagues, the ones that know enough to know the difference between good and bad care, or good and bad training. And it's basically that. It's an inner feeling. Some of your proudest moments in your career is when you've done things that other people can't do, that have benefited elephants. And when we started this place, there's still no place like this. There's no place that takes problem elephants and rehabilitates them to where you can do this.
Yeah, they're just wandering around the yard.
Yeah. There's no other place that does that. No matter what they call themselves, this is the only place that does it. Basically, this is the only true sanctuary there is. We don't have an agenda of negativity and radicalism.
It's daily care.
Yeah.
Day in and day out, and everybody benefits.
If a spaceship came over and was up there studying us for the first time, they would eventually say, let's go make contact with the people in control. They go to the elephants because we're out there picking up their manure, bringing them food, putting them in the house, and all that kind of stuff. They'd say, well, the most intelligent has to be the big great thing, because everybody else is taking care of them. So they wouldn't want to talk to
That is a lot like a teenager, isn't it?
Yeah, right. So they want to talk to the big great things, because we're out here serving them. Basically, when you say you're a keeper or handler or something, you are a keeper. You keep care of them.
Caretakers.
Sure, absolutely. It's a good word, caretakers, because you've got, if you want to do this and do it properly. A lot of people start this in this business and find out in a short time it's not for them. It's too intense. It's too demanding.
But it's a lot different than, I know we were at Turpentine Creek in Eureka Springs with big cats. It's a whole different kind of atmosphere there. It's not near as peaceful as this, because there's tigers everywhere in cages. This is just like being on a farm, and these are your yard dogs.
Right, right. And it's like I said, it's a very, very rewarding life if you do it properly. Especially when you can look in the mirror and say, I haven't shortchanged these guys.
What is our need right now? I know you have 2 beautiful barns that are fulfilling the needs and those kind of things, but what would be the need right now? Well,
the biggest, like I said, thing we always need is operating funds. That's the hardest money to acquire. Like I said, people usually want to see something. I tell people if I could read an elephant's mind, I'd be one of 2 things. I'd be either the greatest elephant trainer that ever lived, or I'd be so terrified I'd never get around another one. Because sometimes you don't want to know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
They might be mad at you.
Do they have expressions?
Oh, they're kind of basically a very stoic animal. I mean, if you've been around them long enough and you know on an individual basis, you can sometimes see expressions of emotion, but basically they're very stoic. And people say, I don't know how many times people have walked up and said, boy, that elephant looks sad. I said, well, do you have a picture of a happy one? I said, if you do, I'd like to see it. And I said, they all look like this. And if I said, really, if you really look at them, their lips go up at the very end like they're smiling. I said, people never pay attention to that. And by the way, this is something you don't get to see. Most elephants in captivity do. Is out here wandering around in a field eating grass. She pulls the grass out of the ground, then watch her. She'll take the grass off the ground, and she puts it in her mouth, and she tears the roots off. She doesn't want to eat the dirt. Doesn't want the roots. So they tear them off, then put the rest of the grass in her mouth. See, she just dropped it out of her mouth, put the good stuff in her mouth.
There we go.
You can watch them all day.
Oh, really?
That gentleman I talked about, Robert Smokey Jones, when he was a kid, he ran away to the circus when he was 12 years old, and that's where he grew up. He was adopted kind of by one of the old-time elephant trainers, one of the original ones, one of the greatest ones, Louis Reed. And Smokey says, we didn't have TVs. You couldn't afford a radio. We just, didn't make much money on the circus when we were kids. That's in the 40s, And he says, I didn't read much, wasn't good at reading. He says, so I'd make elephant hooks, or I'd make whips, or he said, I just sit there and watch the elephants. And he said, after a while, I started doing little experiments. Wonder what they do if we put this over here and this, And he had the mind of a scientist. So he was actually doing elephant research when he was just a kid.
Wow.
And he learned so much about their behavior and how they act in different situations. And he put it into practice.
Well, you're right about just sitting out here in a lawn chair and just watching them.
Oh, yeah,
you
could
do that all afternoon.
People relax and say, get a fish tank and watch it. You get more relaxed. If you go in an elephant barn at night and watch them and just listen to them eating, the clink of the chains or the hay they're eating, and they're shaking out and all that kind of, you almost sit there and want to go to sleep. It's very relaxing.
Wow. Serve all purpose. Well, I can't tell you how much we appreciate getting to be here today. I mean, I hope that a lot of Arkansas gets educated about what's available here for them to participate in. But mostly, I'm just glad that there's people like you around who are doing this. I mean, we are caretakers and stewards of God's wonderful earth.
That's correct.
And whether they're little animals that need a little attention, or whether they're wild animals that you're not going to eat, let them alone. Let them live on the good earth.
Right. I agree with that, and we appreciate your coming out and putting us on your station and your program and letting some more people know about us.
Well, we'll know soon, and I appreciate you again, brother.
Yeah,
I do.
my pleasure.
Scott Riddle. We've talked about animals, and we've talked about caves and battlegrounds and museums all over the United States. But sometimes when there's living things involved, there's a little more personal, emotional commitment, as well as a responsibility as a caretaker of God's good earth, that we need to take a look at each other. Whether it's an animal that comes through your backyard and he's not bothering anything, don't go out there and shoot them. Let them live their life the way they should, just as you're going to live yours. Another part of it is, when you get an opportunity to help take care of animals like these elephants, obviously you can't do it in your backyard, but you can do it in this backyard. You can be a participator, and we hope that you will reach out, take a look at the website. We're not begging for money. I'm just telling you, this is your opportunity to enjoy things like we've seen today here at the Sanctuary for many, many generations to come. You are saving the world for the future, $1 at a time, and maybe one elephant at a time. This is Norm Allen with you on another Out of the Norm show. We're glad you've been with us today, and I hope you've enjoyed your visit as much as we've enjoyed being here. In the meantime, don't forget, we'll be in your neighborhood somewhere soon, and you might hear us knock on your door and say, the story's all about you. We'll see you again soon.
Like loving the South and me just loving you.